In this video, I'm going to talk about passing parameters in Java. So the name of this program or of this class is called passing parameters. Now classes, just sort of by convention, they usually start with an uppercase letter. Now this particular class has three methods in it. Now a method is really very much like a function. We used to call them functions in JavaScript, but in Java they're called methods. So this program has three methods. Public, static, we'll worry about that later. This next term here, this next word, int, tells me what this method is going to return. So this method is going to return to whoever called it an integer, an int. The name of this method is findArea, and inside parentheses here, this is what the method needs to get passed in order to run properly. So this method, named findArea, is getting passed an int, or an integer, and this is the variable name, len, and it's getting passed another integer, or another int, called wid. Yeah, right. So let me just say this one more time, because it's a little weird. This word before the name of the method is what the method is going to return. So this method, named findArea, is going to return an int, and inside the parentheses is what the method needs in order to run. So this method is going to get passed, and these are called parameters. It's going to get passed the parameters len and wid. Yeah, okay, and these are both int. Now this is a very simple method. The only thing this method is going to do is return the length times the width, because that's how you find area. It's length times width. Now this is kind of, I usually don't write it all squished like this. I like to line up my curly brackets and all that stuff. So really it'd probably be better to write it this way. But in this particular case, I'm trying to show you a bunch of things at once. I'm kind of trying to compress all my programs there. All right, so this is my first method. Here I have another method. The name of this method is called addHello. This method is going to get passed a string, and the name of the input variable is called name. And this word right here, void, this is what this method is going to return. Well, the term void means nothing. Like, outer space, they sometimes say, is a void. Void means nothing. So this method is not going to return anything, but it wants a string called name to get passed to it. And of course, this is a very simple method too. All it's going to do is print the word hello and then whatever the name that gets passed in is. All right, so let's check out how this is going to get run. Now, you're already familiar with a method name called main. Main is the method that starts the program running. So this is the program's going to begin running right here. I made a couple of variables, one called length, one called width. I assigned them to 3 and 4. And right here, I'm running the method called findArea, and I'm passing it length and width. Well, these are the values 3 and 4, which I just initialized up here. So this is actually running this method. Now, it shouldn't really be confusing to you that down here it's called length and here it's called width, and up here it's called len and width. These variable names obviously do not have to be the same. Really what's getting passed to here is the value of len and width, which is 3 and 4. So really a 3 is getting passed up to len, and a 4 is getting passed up to width. So when this first gets multiplied, it should return the value 12. So this is really equal to the value 12, and I'm setting an int called area1 to 12. All right. Here's another example, area2. And in the second example, I'm just showing that you could just put numbers here. You don't have to go through this whole routine where you're making variables and all that kind of stuff. So here I'm going to run findArea again, and I'm passing the values 5 and 6, right? So 5 gets passed into len, so len equals 5. 6 gets passed into width, so width equals 6. They get multiplied, which is 30, so area2 should be 30. Great. And then I'm going to run the system.print lines and print out the area of 1 and the area of 2. I think you get that. That shouldn't be a big deal. All right, let's look at the second example. So in the second example, I made a string name, and it equals Haas. And now I'm running the method addHello, and I'm passing it name. So name, which happens to be Haas, is getting passed up to here. Now, in this particular case, this is called name. This is also called name. So they These variables can be named the same, and here they're both named name. I hope that's not confusing. And then in the method, I'm just printing out hello concatenated with name. So I'm going to run this real quick. Oh, I guess I already ran it on the side, but all right, let me just run it one more time just to make sure. Yes, in fact, 12 and 30 are my areas, and it said hello Haas. Now, I didn't have to make this print the name right here. I mean, I could have actually returned a string, and instead of doing the print here, I could have said return hello plus name. And then down here, I could have said, oh, I'm going to print out add hello with the name. Hopefully that makes sense what's going on. So add hello with name is now going to return hello plus the name. And now I see that I changed this to string. So this thing is now returning a string. Let me compile it and run it. And you'll see that this will function the same way. And it functioned the same way. Yeah. And again, it happens to be called name up here and name down here, but it doesn't have to be called. I mean, I could call this, I don't know, I could call it last because it represents last name. I don't know. And it'll still work fine. So last is getting passed into name. And I'll just run one more time. And it still works. So hopefully you get the idea. This is called passing parameters, right? I'm running this method in this first case called find area. I'm passing the value of len and width. So you really think about this as the numbers 3 and 4 that are getting passed into len and width. So len equals 3, width equals 4, and multiplies it and prints it out. Now I'm calling find area again. So hopefully that makes sense. And then again, in the second example, initially, remember when I had void here? That means it doesn't return anything, but then I changed it to string. So now this thing is returning a string, right? And the word return, that should be kind of familiar to you. I think you did this in JavaScript as well. That means this method is going to pass some information back to whoever called it. So hopefully this makes sense. This is an important one, passing parameters, and it can be a little tricky. So thanks for watching, and get to work on the next project.